Never be tempted to fill the silence. Now, let me put that into perspective. One, most leaders are born and are created during exceptional times. Yes, when no one is speaking, it would be nice if you speak first. However, if there's someone willing to speak first wait. Even when you are good at the particular topic that they're going to discuss, or a question that has been brought up, your idea is not fully developed. Why? Because even tomorrow, you have something better to build on it. If you can let them speak and then add to your perspective, you sound better than you would have sounded. It doesn't mean you aren't going to sound good. I'm just saying you'd sound better. However, I also want to caution you on the fill the gap temptation. And I'm going to illustrate it with a story. Around 2013, that time I was doing some work with the South African community in youth engagements and empowerment. And I'm not going to say exactly what I was doing because I don't want to be judged by whoever would hear this information. But I think I've shared it before, but I'm always very careful how I share. There was an interview between a particular minister in Tanzania, whose details I'm not going to give, also position. But those who can remember or who can go back can trace that interview. And I'm going to tell you what happened, the unfortunate thing that happened after that interview. This journalist is speaking to the minister, and the interview was going so well. They were generally discussing about regional integration. For those who don't know, since you're all East Africans, I should make sure that you know. The East African Community integration is supposed to go through 5 stages. The first stage is called the customs union. The second stage is called the common market. The third stage is called the monetary union. The fourth stage is called the political federation. They get to talk about why some law or protocol had not been ratified or accepted by some countries. And the 2 issues I remember were mostly about standardization of education, but the other question was on land tenure systems. Remember, Tanzania is kinda a socialist country in a way. Kenya is pure capitalists. Uganda, we are laissez-faire. Rwanda has a mixture. At a certain point, they're capitalists. They have a lot of American way of doing things, but to some good extent, they're also socialists. But Tanzania and Burundi, they operate in a socialistic manner, especially when it comes to economic development. Their land tenure system is to the effect that land belongs to the public. In Uganda, land belongs to the person. It's private owned. This particular minister had been asked a question, and he had answered that question. We have different land tenure systems and laws and regimes, so we shall harmonize, and after harmonizing, maybe we shall standardize. Where we can't standardize, we shall harmonize. And the interviewer said, The interviewer left a silence of about 15 seconds. Most of you are always tempted to fill the gap, the silence. Never be tempted to fill the silence. The silence, the 15-second silence, especially on controversial matters. Because what you're going to say next to fill the silence is highly probable is something you would have decided not to say. Or you didn't prepare the right way of saying it. There's a high likelihood you're going to confuse or create a controversy. And so the minister continued to explain. And the answer he gave thereafter created something you can even search on Google, created something we started calling, or the news called, the coalition of the willing and the coalition of the unwilling. The East African community states were separated. There was a cut between, it was like an alliance between Tanzania and Burundi, with all their power resisting Kenya, Rwanda, and Uganda. Just from a 1-minute response to a question that someone had answered right, But when a pause was left, he was tempted to do what? Fill the gap. He exposed more. That's where the psychology of the 15 seconds pause comes. You may use that pause in your interest or against you. For instance, if you ask people, anyone with a question, additional compliment, that strategy suggests that keep quiet for at least 15 seconds, just looking at people. Someone is going to become uncomfortable with the silence, and one habit is going to speak. Because humans, psychologically, are uncomfortable with silence. Even those who are okay with silence, they are praying that someone speaks. Even when they know for them they can't speak, they are praying that someone speaks. Do not be a victim to the silence, but be the master of the silence.